Well, guys, I decided to look into things that you guys respond to and discuss them. I had to go back and put an edit on this post because it seemed like a lot of people got upset. And reading why people got upset or why they were explaining they were upset really made me want to discuss this further because I'm not understanding why there's such a polarized view towards this. Make sure to ask your friends if they have the emotional energy today before you just lay your heavy stuff on them. I read that and I go, I know what it feels like to have stuff just thrust upon me and put on me without asking me. I've actually had time frames in my life where I didn't really have room for much else because I couldn't even juggle my own stuff. But people were still putting things on me. And I was letting them, so I can't act like I didn't take part in that. But when I read this, honestly, the first thing that pops into my head is, yeah, I'll do that because I don't want to burden my friends. I don't want to put anything heavy on them. And some people lost their mind on this post, like it really made them upset. And I'm like, wait, where in the post does it never say if it's urgent, you can't just go? It doesn't even say that. People injected a lot into it that just isn't there. It just isn't there. I don't understand. Anyway, but we'll go through this and talk through it some more so you can see what I'm talking about. Child, I actually had to put the same thing that I edited in the original caption for the post in the comments, which I'll read in a moment. A lot of people did not like. Ooh, Kimberly Pitch, you ain't never lied. Comprehension is a lost art. Katie McIntyre tags her friend Chelsea Crawford and says, absolutely not. We ain't asking shit. Lay it on me, sis. That's okay. I mean, so I said, I get where you're coming from, but do you know how many people I've spoken to have had the same mentality and have mentally and emotionally collapsed under the weight of all the stuff people dumped on them? It happened to me too. I have to learn to balance shit out. If my cup is empty, I can't pour into anyone else. And then Coley Cortez says, I think we all have experienced this in some parts of our lives, whether we were the one collecting the trash or dumping it. However, accountability is a must for both parties. Even if you're that ride or die and at some point you're conflicted in any way, speak. We must learn to set boundaries, be aware of self, and speak on them and act accordingly when they need to be reinforced. A person that is dumping the trash may not necessarily being mentally sound and may not know that it's breaking you. So communication and comprehension is important. I get all this, but again, this seems to come from the standpoint of a person basically saying you can never not ask for permission. Every situation is different. If there's an emergency or something, I don't expect my friend to be like, is it okay if No, but in everyday situations, I'm going to be very honest with you guys about the big difference this has made in my friendship circles, to the point where I feel like I can be a better friend to them, and I feel like they are better friends to me because we're all taking each other's mental and emotional health into account. Period. We're respecting that. Some people, I guess in their heads, they go, well, I don't have to ask my friend, can I say something to her? But like, what are you really saying when you say that? I get what you think you're saying, but what are you really saying? What you think you're saying is your bond is so strong that there's no need for that. Your friend got your back, you got hers. And I get that, listen. But what I also hear you saying that you don't realize you're saying is, I don't really give a shit what my friend is going through and if she has room for this at the moment. She just gonna take this, me dumping on her. And I don't like that. I don't fuck with that. So that's where I'm coming from with it. But my answer to Coley was the same answer that I wound up putting up for the most part when I went back and edited the caption to the post. I said, of course, this post is being perceived as if I'm saying to do this in all cases. This meaning Always ask your friends, do they have the emotional space? I said discernment is key. Awareness is key. I can at times drop everything for someone because I'm needed. However, I spent the first half of my life people pleasing. I always dropped everything whenever someone needed me, whether I had the capacity to take on something else or not. This is true. Like, I didn't know another way to live. Like, that's how I lived, like, the first more than half of my life. I'm 41 years old at this point. So, into my 20s, midway into my 20s, I was still acting in that capacity. And then, when I went through my Saturn return, which is a whole other story. But once I went through that, y'all, I didn't even have the emotional space for myself. I didn't understand what was going on. It was the most difficult time of my life. And that's when I learned how much people depended on me. And then when I needed help, I didn't get any back from some people. It was a really sobering time that made me appreciate more the friends of mine that I have that really do hold space for me. But also it made me appreciate them in such a way that I ain't just gonna dump shit on them if I don't know that they're okay. And things happen every day. People have jobs, people have lives, people have stresses. They have all types of shit. I don't want to compound their shit with my shit unnecessarily. So I just wait until there's space. But anyway, I went on to say that worked to my detriment. So always just dropping everything for everybody worked to my detriment. I don't want to do that to people I care about and learn balance. That's my main point. Especially since I have a first-hand account and know how it feels. I don't put my friends through that. So I'm just consciously aware of the fact that I'm gonna ask you if the situation, is not like immediate. And then I went on to say, as a Libra rising with opposite energies in every house, balance is prevalent in my life experiences, because it is. Most certainly you, okay? I've talked to so many people who resonate with having thrown themselves on every hill at a moment's notice without taking care of themselves. For those of y'all who did not do that, who have no experience with that, you don't understand, okay? You don't understand. You can't really understand in the same way as those who have operated under that energy. Listen, when you're off kilter in any capacity, but especially in the capacity of the helper, the people pleaser, when you just always are operating on fuck me, I just sacrifice myself for everyone else, eventually at some point you get to the point in the road where you go, fuck, I haven't poured into me. I've just given. And then they wind up in a bad way. I don't want that to happen to people, but it does happen to people. So I'm not going to contribute to it happening to people, which is one of the reasons why you ask people if they have space. That's all. But anyway, I go on to say, some of us had experiences where we continually martyred ourselves while we weren't in healthy mental or emotional spaces to even handle our own lives. Because I've experienced this, I'm sensitive to dumping on others without knowing they're in a space to handle it. Like, what is so hard to understand about that? Like, I have respect enough for my friends. A way that my friend circle handles this is by sending voice messages, which we can get to when we have the time and space. If something is urgent, we can call one another. It's been beneficial to all of us. This is how I operate, like in my everyday life. We send voice messages. If you can't get to it right away and don't have the space to listen to it, that's fine. I don't get mad at my friends for that. Sometimes people need time to recalibrate, rejuvenate, reflect, reset. Sometimes they're not even yet at the space where they can like kind of pull back onto themselves and life is just kind of hectic. I don't know why people are so upset about this. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why anybody would really not want to do that for their friends. Vera Ahmed said, but sometimes that's the only thing keeping them from drowning in them. I understand that. Sometimes it's smaller damage when the heavy stuff is laid down. Okay, then in those times where sometimes they can't afford to ask you, do you have the space? Then just ask. Like, why are people taking this in such an extreme way? Oh, later degrees of the nose switching to Taurus and Scorpio prevalent here. Scorpio definitely represents extremes. It's like one way or the other. There's no gray area. There's no nuance. I don't like that, y'all. Like, I don't take everything that I see when I'm scrolling through social media to be like, I don't take everything I see to be some sort of definitive statement that can't be argued against. Life is complicated. Situations are complicated. There's even things that you may agree with as a person that may seem that they contradict each other. Like, there's so many nuances in life. Why do people act like by saying to ask your friends if they have the space, that means that if there's an emergency, oh no, they're just fucked. Like, what? Who said that? You interjected that into the post. The post says specifically what it says. No need to add more, okay? So I said to Vera, if your cup is empty, someone expecting you to pour from it's unrealistic. That's why I asked my friends if they have the bandwidth to listen. My friends and I practice this as a courtesy to one another, and it has made our bond stronger and fostered healthier connections. This doesn't mean there aren't occasions when we bypass asking. Again, people are interjecting something into the post that isn't there. I could see how someone could go, well, maybe it's slightly implied. Yeah, if you're looking at everything in a very extreme way, like it's either all the way this or all the way that, and that's actually really unhealthy. People are a mixture of both good, bad, neutral qualities. I don't know why we always seek to find like these ultimates, but that's a whole other conversation, y'all. Helen Flan got really, or Flan, I don't know, I might be saying her name wrong, got kind of annoyed at this and said, I hate this stuff, and yes, I'm an empath, so it happens all the time. Encourage people to open up. You might be the only worst person to speak to. Again, if your cup is empty, someone expecting you to pour from it is unrealistic. My friends and I practice this as a courtesy to one another, and it has made our bond stronger and fostered healthier connections. I'm not sure how you understood the post. Helen thinks it's the implication of a drain that it is to listen to other people's problems. That's because you're thinking in black or white thinking. Sometimes it is a drain to listen to some people's problems. Sometimes it's not. But what constitutes whether or not it's a drain, Helen? Well, do you have the space for it? Because I'm going to tell you a little story. When I was going through my Saturn return and literally lost everything, I was trying to figure out how I was going to survive. I never really in my lifetime had to worry about survival from the aspect of having one's basic needs met. I was very blessed growing up. My family did pretty well. So if I'm trying to figure out how to survive and I'm having a difficult time with that, I'm not even in a healthy emotional or mental space, and someone wants to put more on me when I need to be focusing all my time and energy into me at that moment, for once in my life, after spending an entire lifetime putting everybody else first, what the fuck is wrong with that? Why would you even... It's because you're thinking in extremes. You don't even think in little nuances. This is the problem in the spiritual community, y'all. Like, what kind of extreme world do you live in where you think that by saying in general to make it a practice to ask people if they are okay with you dumping something on them, does that mean that you don't care, that you don't want to encourage people to speak? Like, sometimes that can mean you're so busy with yourself. And I'm sorry, but if I'm not in a healthy frame of mind, state of mind, emotional state, I shouldn't even really be trying to assist other people.